WBC featherweight championship on the line. Bruce Shu Shu Carrington, the interim champ, taking on former world title challenger Carlos Castro. Good fight. Good fight. I think that Castro has an excellent trainer in Robert Alcazar, who trained Oscar De La Hoya at the peak of his powers, along with Floyd Mayweather Sr. They shared the peak of Oscar's powers. So good coach and Coach Alcazar. I think that Castro, his only knockout loss was to Brandon Figueroa. He fought a version of Brandon Figueroa that does not exist anymore. And at his peak, and that style doesn't peak very, very long. And he fought Figueroa at the peak of his powers. And I think he fought him when he was sucking down as a tall guy, way too low to 122. I think he's stronger and more filled out at 126. A lot of people thought Castro might have beaten Stephen Fulton. He definitely dropped him with a straight right hand. So a lot of people may think this is Shu Shu all day, but this is a legit matchup. Brendan, what's your opening thoughts?
My opening thoughts is that I looked at the odds and I saw that Shu Shu's around like a plus 450, plus 480. He's like hovering around there.
Minus, you mean?
Oh yeah, my bad. Castro's a plus 480, I should say. He's like a 4-1 underdog. I don't see it like that, just because, Sean, when you look at Shu Shu's career, and I love Bruce Carrington. Like, it's hard to not love Bruce Carrington. But looking at everything, he had that fight against Suleiman Sagawa, who is one of the most crafty featherweights in the division, and it's very debatable if he actually won that fight. Sagawa kept things very long and disciplined and professional, and he was physical when he needed to be, and he could counterpunch out of the southpaw stance. And then ever since that fight, Top Rank, I feel, has been very, very careful matching Shu Shu. He hasn't had to deal with a guy anything close to that sense. All the guys he fights has fought since then. Dana Coolwell, Matias Hayta, and
Enrique Vivas.
They're come forward guys, and Shu Shu is a fantastic counterpuncher. So it's made Shu Shu. It's those are matches that suit Shu Shu's strengths. I feel like in this fight he has to exercise some demons. And like we mentioned Murataya earlier, I feel like Top Rank maybe they were more confident in Murataya based on the way they matched him getting to the title. So they were okay with the Andy Cruz fight. With Shu Shu, I think they matched him a lot more careful. So I'm intrigued to see how he does against Carlos Castro, who is very, very, he's long, he's lanky, he's not a come forward volume punching Mexican fighter. He can counter punch. He's got above average pop. This is a real legitimate featherweight title fight.
He's going to make Bruce pick his feet up. And Bruce likes to have his feet set. Bruce's bread and butter, what he is exquisite at, what is his counter punching, specifically his pull counters. And he's an excellent pull counter guy. I mean, one of the flashiest and best pull counter punchers in the game. But it's going to be tough, at least early, until he can maybe potentially break Castro down a little bit. Castro's going to make him have to execute the tools that I think are there, but he's neglected for many fights, because Bruce has a 72-inch reach, and he has fast hands, and he's twitchy, but he doesn't always use his jab. He doesn't always fight on his toes. He doesn't always feint. And like you said, Castro is not some come forward Mexican Warriors type of fighter. He keeps it long, and he moves his feet, and he knows his distance pretty well. So again, Bruce, like you said, when you said exercising some demons, he's going to have to use parts of his tool set. He's going to have to prove on a championship level, first of all, that they exist, and that if he's neglected them, he can't afford to neglect them in this fight, or he might get upset and lose this fight.
Correct. And, Castro, too, his other loss that you didn't mention was he fought Luis Neri.
Yeah.
That was a close fight as well. So he's been, apart from the Figueroa fight, he's been right there. And I'm sure he's at that point in his career. I'm sure deep down he feels like, you know what? I deserve to be on that level. And, I'm one adjustment away if I can do that. If he can make one more adjustment, he would have been champion already. So he's getting tired of losing these fights. And, with the experience he has, he's got to feel like he can get over the hump. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Shu Shu does when he has, like you said, pick up his feet, because A lot of the guys he fought, even before Sagawa, like Jason Sanchez, come forward, Mexican pressure fighter. Bernardo Torres, smaller guy, Shoot, I want Shu Shu to really win a world title because I feel like he's good for the featherweight division.
Mm-hmm.
But the fight where he has to show it, and you have a better feel for where he's at going into this fight than me, Sean, because you went to go see him train at the gym. How do you feel about Shu Shu going into the fight?
Yeah, well, I think I went to go visit Bruce two times during this camp at the Knuckleheads gym. Sean Gibbons and his son Brendan Gibbons running
Oh,
that gym. Appreciate the time letting me come in and do my job and keep my eyes sharp. Can't get into the specifics, obviously, of what I saw, but I really liked the game plan, and I could tell from Coach K Karoma that he knew what Bruce was up against based on how I saw them training. He wasn't just going through the motions doing normal pad work. He knew what kind of look to give Carrington in preparation for this style, this kind of opponent. And I also saw from Carrington, who, again, I think has had flashes of brilliance, particularly with his bread and butter, his pull counter game, his counter punching game, counter punching in between and all that. And I think that he's dialed up in intensity and focus for this fight, fighting in New York City, Shu York City as he calls it, as a Brooklynite, and I think fighting at the Mecca, Madison Square Garden, on a card like this for a featherweight title, I think you're going to see the best Bruce Carrington. But to your point, I mean, Castro has more than double the amount of professional fights, and he's been knocking on the door at this level. And he's a seasoned pro, and I gave props to Coach Karoma, but Robert Alcazar is a hell of a trainer too, who had De La Hoya know his distance and his combinations very well. So, but I think once Stephen Fulton cut the distance a little bit on Castro and Castro's legs got a little bit heavy, he took the play from him down the stretch in that fight and pulled it out. I think if Carrington, the closer the distance gets, the more in punching range Castro is forced to be in, the worse it can get for him. Because I think mid to close range, the more Bruce can get to his counter punching and not be forced to box on the outside, the more effective Carrington gets in this fight. But I don't think it'll be easy.
I don't either. And one thing I also highlight too that I know about this fight is I know Bruce brought in, along with K. Crum, I know he brought in Coach Bobby McCroy, who as an assistant.
Coach Bobby.
Shout out to Bobby McCroy, fantastic young coach. Big opportunity for him.
Mm-hmm.
They brought him in because they wanted not just, I wouldn't just say aggression, but they wanted more calculated aggression. And he's got some fighters in the stable, like obviously Rais Salim's one that comes to mind. John Mindoro, the hard punching Filipino middleweight who gets a lot of knockouts. Like that's what he like. He's an aggressive coach, so I'm looking forward to seeing how Shu Shu layers out his offense.
Yeah, and Bruce Carrington's not Juan Marquez. I'm not saying that. He hasn't done anything to earn being mentioned on that kind of level with a Juan Manuel Marquez, one of the greatest fighters and counter punchers of the last however many decades. But what reason why I bring Juan up is Juan wasn't necessarily the greatest defensive fighter, even though he was among the greatest counter punchers. And I think that's Bruce Carrington. I don't think Carrington has the best defense. I think Castro will land on him well, but I think Carrington might have a little bit more dog from him, but dog that he can take Castro's best shot, and then once the range closes up a little bit, that it'll be hard for Castro over 12 rounds not to hold up to Bruce's firepower. Again, if that range closes up a little bit and those legs get heavy. But yeah, Carrington's defense ain't the best, even though he'll have a beautiful pop off the pull, off the slip and counter, but he gets touched quite a bit. Hayda was touching him, Sagawa was touching him, and he has lulls where he's waiting on the counter punching too much. He's going to have to use his jab more in this assignment, but he looks really locked in when I saw him this month, and I do favor the Brownsville Brooklyn boy to win this fight.
I favor him as well, but this is actually, I would say, on the card, it's the fight I'm most iffy about, honestly,
Mm.
because just because, like I said, he hasn't had to exercise those demons of dealing with the long range, disciplined professional fighter, and I mean, he has to do it on a pretty pressure filled stage. I mean, he's Sean, you know, you're from New York City, like he's a Brooklyn born fighter with a big personality, you know, great smile, all that stuff, and he has to win the world title in the big room, not the theater, the big room where the Knicks play, and you know, like I said, it'd be great for the division if he did. I would like him to, honestly, but it's a lot to deal with. So if he can do it in sensational fashion, then I think a star will be born.
Why don't you give us the Ben Davison quote about pressure then?
I was gonna say, pressure can burst pots or can create a diamond.
I think it'll create a diamond more so. You know, I think Shu Shu wins the fight, and I think he cries in the ring afterwards.
That's right. That's right. And you know what, Sean? We had this joke. Remember this joke? A long time ago, I was mad about the state of boxing, about all these young fighters coming up. You know, I was mad. I was mad about these fanboys, these guys.
Let me tell them what you said. I'll keep it real.
Tell them what I said.
Brendan's mad about the fanboys, and he goes, "Bro, I'm sick of the lightweight division." And this is at a time where you had like Tank, who was undefeated, Devin Haney, who was undefeated, Shakur, who was undefeated, Teofimo was there, Keyshawn was just coming up, maybe even more. And
Boys
like,
might have just been starting to get.
And he goes, bro, these guys don't fight each other enough, and all their fans just dick ride each of them individually, and they don't fight each other enough. And then and he's yeah, that's it. They get to all keep dick riding because none of them fight each other, so no one ever has to like eat crow and face the music as a fan ever. And so you said,
and I said it's great because if you love Top Rank, you can dick ride top ranked fighters. If you love PBC, you can dick ride PBC fighters, and vice versa, all the promotional companies. And
you can dick ride Floyd Schofield if that's your undefeated lightweight flavor of choice. Yeah.
Exactly. Whoever you want to dick ride, you have the option to, right? Whatever tickles your fancy, right? But then Sean, in the middle of this long rant that I'm going on, and he's like, yeah, but wait till Shu Shu get up there. Wait get up there. And Sean, the time has come. It's time for Shu Shu to get up there.
It is, man. He's got people calling him a 28-year-old prospect. I know he's going to quote tweet someone and go, 28-year-old world champion, all right, if he wins this fight. So, but no sleeping on Castro. Should be a good fight.